Welcome to Invest Out West podcast. I'm Nat Micken.
And I'm Kahlia Micken. We are a husband and wife team who live and invest in Western Queensland.
Join us on our journey of creating passive income through mindset, business, crypto, and property investing. Welcome to Invest Out West episode number 33.
The passage we'd like to lead with today is from the book As a Man Thinketh, and says, victories attained by right thought can only be maintained by watchfulness.
So today's episode is going to be about our Bitcoin mining machine. We've been going to do this episode for a while, and we decided that we'd do it because our mining machine has been in operation now for just over 12 months. But before we get into the actual episode, I just wanted to clarify something out of the last episode that we did, where we talked about Clermont, and I said on there about the Great Flood of Clermont, and in that episode I said that there were 75 lives lost, and there was actually 65 lives lost. So I just wanted to clarify that because, you know, we like to keep things as factual as possible here on this podcast. And when I realised that I'd made that mistake, it was already too late because the episode had already gone live. So just wanted to clarify that. Getting into our Bitcoin miner. So in episode 3 of this podcast series, we talked about buying this mining machine at the Melbourne Crypto Convention, which was in November 2023, and we bought this machine there, and it went online about the 4th of December, and we started to get paid Bitcoin in January of last year. So been going for 12 months, so we thought we'd jump on here and talk about the performance of the machine, how much Bitcoin it's made, and what that Bitcoin is worth at today's prices. Bearing in mind a couple of things, so this price, the money that we talk about that it's made in AUD today will be something completely different, in a couple of days from now, just because Bitcoin moves that fast, and crypto as a whole moves very rapidly compared to TradFi sort of stuff. It just moves incredibly fast. So
you better explain what TradFi is.
Yeah, so TradFi, to listeners who mightn't know, just means traditional finance. So, you're just your normal shares, real estate to a certain extent. That is what's known as TradFi. So, good point. There's terms in the crypto space, especially. That until you sort of learn this terminology, it can be very daunting for the person who doesn't really know much about the crypto space. But we think back to how we were the same once upon a time. We knew nothing about crypto terminology, and then it seems to be sort of second nature to us now. So getting back into the mining machine, bearing in mind also that there's been the halving event, which happened in April last year. That's been in amongst this, our first 12 months of the machine in operation. So that is something to take into consideration as well. Kahlia has crunched the numbers on all this, and so I'll hand over to Kahlia now, and she can go through everything from what the mining machine is, the model of it, and then she's sort of worked out all what it's done in performance over that 12 months. So I'll hand over to Kahlia.
Yeah, so before I get into some figures, I just wanted to clarify the comment that Nat just made about the Bitcoin halving event and how it halved in April of 2024. So if you've just started listening to our podcast, you're probably thinking, what on earth is this Bitcoin halving event that people in the cryptocurrencies slash Bitcoin space speak about? And what it means is that that there is a set number of Bitcoin that will ever be available, full stop, like forever, and so that number is 21 million. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin ever available, and the way the developers set it up was that it is to be mined right up until the year of like 2140, isn't it? Yeah.
2,140. Yeah.
And so what the halving event means is when you have miners, the likes of what we got, every time a mining machine cracks the code and forms a block, they get rewarded in Bitcoin for doing that transaction. And so what the halving event means is that the amount rewarded to miners gets cut in half approximately every 4 years. I just can't remember the stats off the top of my head, but it's after a certain number of blocks that the halving event happens. So there's no actual set date for a halving event to happen. It just happens after so many blocks have been cracked. And so what happened in April was the Bitcoin mining rewards were getting rewarded at 6.5 Bitcoin per block, whereas now that's halved, so it's back to 3.25 Bitcoin per block that has been rewarded to miners. So I just wanted to clarify on that, because it is a bit of a fear factor for anybody who's interested in looking at Bitcoin. They hear about this halving event, and of course their immediate thought is, oh, I'm going to lose half of my Bitcoin that I own, which that's nothing to do with it. It's got nothing to do with the Bitcoin that we own in our wallets, in our own custody. It solely just means the Bitcoin that's being rewarded to miners, and the Bitcoin that is coming in new to the market. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that. So yes, again, nothing to do with the Bitcoin that we hold. If we hold 10 Bitcoin and we never sell, we will always hold the 10 Bitcoin. It has nothing to do with what people individually hold. It's just what gets rewarded and what gets bought out into the market. So just wanted to clarify that. So going back to our own Bitcoin miner. So like as Nat said, it's just ticked over 12 months since our Bitcoin miner has been working. So it got turned online in December, and then we got rewarded our first Bitcoin in January. So what happened was, in the process, so we purchased the miner in November, as Nat said, at the crypto convention. It was in Melbourne in 2023. And then we had to wait for it to get shipped overseas. Ours is located in Europe, and then it gets put into the factory, into the warehouse over there, and then eventually gets hooked up and it gets turned online. So ours was actually turned online on December the 4th, but our first reward didn't hit our wallet. Our first reward in Bitcoin didn't hit our wallet until the 10th of January. And the reason why there was a delay there was it was a bit of an admin side on my end, because I had to go through a process of opening accounts and setting everything up and linking the right wallet and so forth and so on. So all that happened in that time was the Bitcoin was just accumulating on our on our online account before it got transferred into my Trezor wallet, which is where we store the Bitcoin that's coming from our Bitcoin miner. So I just wanted to clarify that if you're wondering about these dates that we're talking about, that's sort of the process that happened. So I've just got a few figures here just to give a bit of clarity around how the halving event worked with our mining. So the amount of Bitcoin that we have received into our wallet doesn't really change. It sort of always comes in 0.001, and numerous digits that follow that. But what changed was the amount of times it gets deposited into our wallet. So before the halving event, up until April 2023, we were getting Bitcoin deposited, between 5 and 6 times a month, and then following the halving, it got deposited it's getting deposited between 2 and 3 times a month. So the Bitcoin's still coming into our wallet, but it's just at a reduced amount of times per month. So I just wanted to touch on a few figures now, just to give you clarity, because we do like to share, like why we're so passionate about this, and encourage people to also think outside the box. So when we purchased the machine, we paid $3,500 for the machine itself, and then there was a $300 cost then to send it overseas. So all up, we paid about $3,800 for the machine itself to get it set up and ready to roll in Europe. So that was our upfront investment, was that $3,800. And so for the 12 months that the Bitcoin miner has been online, sitting at today's rate of Bitcoin, which is like about 165,000 or thereabout, as at the time of recording this podcast. And
can I just clarify? That's AUD, not US. So
yeah. Sorry, I'm talking Australian dollars. Yeah, because we work in Australian dollars with my investment money. So, I will. Yeah, so that is a good point. A lot of Bitcoin people do speak in US, but yeah, these figures are in Australian dollars. So 3,800 of an investment, and sitting at the value of Bitcoin today in Australian dollars, we've got about 8,700 Australian dollars worth of Bitcoin sitting in our wallet that miner has generated for us. Now, the way it works is how do we pay the power to run our miner? And to clarify, you might have been wondering why I said that our Bitcoin miner got shipped to Europe. So that's because the power prices overseas are way better than what they are in Australia. For people to run miners here in Australia, it's simply not worth their time because of the high energy costs here in Australia. And it's quite sad to see, because the Australian economy is missing out on so much that could be happening because of the high energy prices here. But what happens is every month I get an invoice from the company who hosts our miner. So we bought our miner through an Australian company, of course, at the crypto convention, and they send me an invoice once a month with how much power our miner will use for that forward month. And so you're looking at anything from sort of $230 to $260 a month that I pay to keep our miner active and online over in Europe. So going over the 12, 13 months that our miner has been switched on, we've paid about $3,800 in power fees. So about $3,800 to purchase the miner and get it set up, and about $3,800 in the last bit over 12 months to pay for electricity costs. So that comes to about $7,600, and as I said, we've already made $8,600. So we're sitting $1,000 in front. But I want to clarify too the fact that we paid we paid $3,500 for the machine itself. The value of that machine, we haven't actually had it priced, but we were talking to the same company at the 2024 Australian Crypto Convention, and he said if we were to buy that machine new, you'd be looking at probably not quite double, so not quite double that amount. So for us to go and sell off our second-hand machine would be worth more than what we paid for it new. So we've cleared $1,000 in profit, but we've still got the asset sitting there, which is making a massive return for us. So that's sort of the numbers that I had written down here. So I'll hand you back over to Nat for him to continue.
Yeah, that was sort of fairly in depth. Some of them numbers that Kahlia had crunched. I just wanted to clarify. I think Kahlia said on there that the reward block went from 6.5 down to 3.25, and it just didn't sound right to me, so I just quickly looked it up while Kahlia was speaking, and yeah, it's actually it went from 6.25 down to 3.125 that per block at the moment. So I just wanted to clarify that. Yeah, look, we're definitely happy with this machine's performance. When we first bought that machine at the Melbourne Crypto Convention in 2023, we sort of didn't really know anything about mining at that stage. It just seemed like that it was just sort of reserved for the rich and famous, I suppose you could say, for want of a better term. And it was sort of just looked like completely out of our league. Those of us who don't really understand the game. But when we found this company that offered these machines, and they do all the moving and shaking, and we just sort of buy the machine and simply we just give it, like, we basically all we did was buy the machine and then give it to them to do the rest. And we've never actually laid eyes on that machine. We just had to pay for it, and they do the shipping and the installing in the like in the warehouse where the machine is actually held. And it just made it so much simpler for us. And I actually talked to another fella at the convention who was a customer of these machines from this particular company himself, and he just said to me, like, he said, I don't understand how it works. He said, I don't want to understand how it works. He says, all I know is that Bitcoin drops into my wallet every month. And I said, well, that's exactly what we're looking for, and that's our experience has been exactly that. We don't understand how the mining process works. We've got more things to focus our mental capacity on than try and understand every part of the process. So we can just sort of give this to these, to this company, and they do the rest. So it makes it so much easier too for just everyday people who aren't even in the crypto space at all. Like, we've got some idea because we're involved in crypto, but it doesn't exclude anybody from getting into mining Bitcoin with this type of process that we did. So yeah, like I say, couldn't be happier with how it's performed. And like Kahlia was saying about selling the second hand, like if we went to sell it, that is something that we are still open to. So these particular machines have about a 4-year lifespan, and after that they pretty much throw away because they become too they just become too expensive, too uneconomical to fix, and so you sort of you're encouraged to just sort of throw them away after about 4 years once they start to have problems. So we were told when we bought this machine that we could probably sell it at about the 2-year mark as a half-life machine, and probably get more for it than what we paid. So that is still something that's definitely on the cards for us. I actually talked to the fellas who we bought it off at the last crypto convention about that very thing, and they said, yeah, it'll probably rise more in value yet at the peak of the bull market, and so, which is probably another few months away. So we'll probably look at selling it as a half-life machine, and we'll probably just hang on to the Bitcoin that it's mined, and we'll be able to sell it off to sort of cover some of the costs that have been associated with the power bills and that sort of thing while it's been in operation. So we actually haven't sold any of the Bitcoin that it's mined up until this point. We've kept it all. So yeah, so I just wanted to sort of mention that we possibly will be selling it later on, and then we'll once the bull market's over and we're in the depths of the bear market and nobody's wanting to think about mining Bitcoin at that particular time, then that's when prices on mining machines are at their lowest. So we'll probably buy one again, a new machine, and good to go for another couple of years again. So, and just keep that process going. So yeah, that's about all I had to say. Kahlia, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on like a bit about why we've got this mining machine, and a little bit about diversification. So as I touched on before, by the time you add up the cost of the machine, the freight to ship it overseas, and the cost of the electricity that we've paid, what the machine has generated up until this date is in profit already. So it's paid for the machine, it's paid for all its electricity, plus it's given us profit. Okay, and so when you punch that into a yield calculator, it blows the figures out of the water, because there's not much else that you can buy that will pay for itself, plus pay for its expenses, plus give you profit, all within 12 months. And so it's just like a really, really easy and I guess even affordable asset class to tap into. Like those who follow our podcast would know, that we love our property and we love, having our portfolio diversified. And this Bitcoin miner just plays into that. And it's just another factor of, how can you make your money work the hardest for you? And what I want to touch on too is that these figures, of course, as we know, like the high volatility that comes in the crypto market, these figures are on today's price. And I mean, there's predictions of what the Bitcoin price will go to, over even the next 5 years. And so you could just imagine, if we were to hang on to the Bitcoin that this machine has mined, the value of how much this is going to go through the roof. So it's just a case of, I guess, of considering it as a diversification, and this is the thing, we don't go and put all of our eggs into one basket. We just don't go and dump all of our investments into Bitcoin miner machines. It's just part of the mix. It's part of our investment pie. So, but yeah, I do love it, and I do love, like how easy it is, because there's nothing that I have to do. I have to pay one invoice a month, and that keeps our mining machine online. I don't have to go in, and I don't have to transfer funds. I don't have to transfer our Bitcoin. It just, once you get the setup process finished, it just lands in your wallet consistently moving forward. So there is, like, to be honest, there is no admin stuff from my end except for paying for one invoice a month. So really easy, like it's such, I guess, easy money to make. Yes, like we haven't actually got the money in our hands, so to speak, because it's still sitting as Bitcoin in our wallet. It's only valued at these figures I'm talking about. So if I was to get that, as money, in our hands, it would just be a case of transferring the Bitcoin to an exchange and selling it off. So like still a very simple process, but it's still there as an asset. And of course, in the government's eyes, in the Australian government's eyes, it's still counted as income. So you still see it as an income thing for us. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like Kahlia was just saying, the simplicity of it is what's really, really good for us. There's in the crypto space, a lot of people sort of say, you should be just routinely buying Bitcoin, especially just in to say so much a week or so much a month or whatever. But this doesn't, like, with this type of process, you don't even have to do that. It's just it's your upfront payment on your machine, and then like Kahlia said, it's just that routine payment of the electricity bill, and we don't even have to think about the Bitcoin side of things. That just keeps dropping into the wallet while we're asleep. So that simplicity is just sort of what really is the selling point of this type of process, I believe. So
yeah, and it's a compounding effect as well. Like it's not just like as though we went out and we bought what did they say, 3,800 worth of Bitcoin. We went out and we bought the miner, and so like that's compounding over time. It just wasn't one investment. It's a compounding thing, and that's such a big part of it. It's not dormant, but it grows. Like every single month, the investment is growing.
Yeah, that's what's different about the mining machines, I believe, to just normal, stuff that the consumer buys. Like you might just go and buy a car or something that loses 30% the moment you drive it off the showroom floor. Whereas this machine has only increased in value as time's gone on. So you're winning there. You're winning that it's producing the Bitcoin, and you're also winning that the Bitcoin is appreciating over time as well. So it's definitely definitely something that I would encourage people to look at. Definitely not financial advice, but it's just so simple and so effective that we're really, really happy with it. So Did you have anything to add before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm pretty done, yeah. And I'll just touch on that too. We should have said it at the start, but yeah, nothing's ever financial advice. It's just us sharing our story and our experiences to encourage others to think outside the box as well, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, look, that's pretty much all we've got here, and just wanted to give people a bit of encouragement that Bitcoin mining isn't or doesn't have to be a scary thing that only the few can do. It's with this type of process, it's available to anybody. So. Look, we'll catch you in the next episode and keep living the dream.